1000万 MLB 翻訳侍選手チャンネルへようこそ。ドジャースの東京ドーム開幕戦までいよいよカウントダウンが始まりました。80年代90年代のマイケル・ジャクソンさながらの熱狂が予想される中、現地の解説者たちはどんな視点で見ているのでしょうか。このチャンネルでは現地メディアの期待と興奮を日本語でお届けしていきます。お見逃しのないようぜひチャンネル登録をお願いいたします。
Everybody, welcome inside. Joined tonight by Jerry Harrison Jr., David Bassett. I just love seeing those clips of Clayton Kershaw. He was so emotional at that rally. He wanted to have a parade for such a long time. We heard him say, two-time champ, a lot more coming. And if so, he's going to be a part of it officially, Jerry.
I just love the emotion that he showed. I mean, years, obviously, of frustration in the postseason. They finally win it in 2020. They don't get a parade. He got his parade, and he let everybody know he was coming back.
I've never seen him that emotional before. Hopefully he can ride that emotion into spring training, and him coming back is certainly to a certain extent a little FOMO. He doesn't want to miss out, and that's why he went to great lengths to be there.
All right, well, speaking of his return, the reports started surfacing a couple days ago, and then we saw Clayton Kershaw on the fields at Camelback Ranch. Today, the Dodgers did make it official, signing the three-time Cy Young Award winner and former NL MVP to a one-year contract, $7.5 million with incentives and bonuses. Kershaw was limited to just 7 games last season, started late because of shoulder surgery, then went down with knee and foot issues, had surgery on both of them in November. He'll join an already loaded pitching staff at some point later this season. Clayton will continue to add to his Hall of Fame-worthy career numbers, franchise leader in WAR and strikeouts, second in wins, 21 behind Don Sutton, also second in WHIP. He is third in starts, fifth in innings pitched. Oh yeah, also, as we heard him say, a 2-time World Series champ. Here's Kershaw today in Arizona about coming back for year 18.
Yeah, it's good. It's timing worked out to get back, and it was good for both sides. I think, go through an off season, see how your rehab goes, and make sure everything's going kind of the way you want it to, and feel like it is, which is good. And yeah, it worked out. Excited to be back.
What for you was, I guess, just the most telling thing coming after surgery, just knowing that your body's in a good spot to return?
I mean, honestly, the foot surgery has been hard. It's just not an easy process. Like, walking's been hard and all that stuff, but finally started turning the corner a few weeks ago, and being able to throw and all those things, and it feels actually like it hasn't felt this way in a while, so that's good. And the knee's been fine, so I think really within the last month, kind of knew that it was going to turn the corner at some point.
You were still trying to, late into the season last year, push to come back. Were you surprised once you had the surgery, how severe the injury was and kind of how long this process has been?
I knew I messed up my foot pretty good, but it was, I think the rehab's just been, with shoulder, you can still walk and do a lot of stuff. And I was back to being like a normal dad pretty quick, but being on crutches, being in a boot, having every step kind of hurt. It was hard. So I don't know if I expected all that a foot surgery entails, but thankful now to kind of be on the other side, and feel like I'm getting closer to being 100%.
Where are you at in the progression at this point? Is it
long toss? Yeah. Probably Pens at some point next month would be my guess. My goal is, go on the 60-day, obviously, but hopefully right around when the 60-day time's up, that I'll be getting close to being back.
Obviously, you spent last year rehabbing a lot. This year kind of going through it again. At this stage of your career, with everything you've already done, why are you putting yourself through this again?
I don't know. Why do you still do it, Dylan? I think
because I can't. I need the money.
No, I think. Yeah, I hope this is the last time I ever have to rehab. I'm kind of done with that. But at the same time, I don't want that to be the reason that I stop playing. I don't want to be like, I just can't do it and hurt. So hopefully I can walk out on my own terms whenever that is. But it just didn't kind of feel like it was the right time. Even though we won, being on the shelf for that wasn't the way that I had scripted it out. And so still super thankful to be a part of it last year and to get to see everything. But I want to be out there when it happens, and so that was a good motivating factor for sure.
Here are some upcoming dates to mark on your calendar. Saturday, the full squad will be officially in camp. 1 week from today, the Cactus League opener, the first of 20 games in Arizona. The regular season begins March 18th with that 2-game Tokyo series against the Chicago Cubs. Then back to SoCal for the Freeway series with the Angels before March 27th. Game on for the home opener against the Detroit Tigers. Today is officially day 3 of workouts at Camelback Ranch, and we saw starting pitchers taking their first bullpen really on day 1. We know everything in spring, Jerry, is about gearing up for the regular season. We also know that baseball ops for the Dodgers, the coaches, they're very detail-oriented. So how much do you think they have scripted out this spring in terms of what the pitchers are going to be doing so that they're ready to go for when they're going to be pitching in the regular season
They
games?
have the script. Obviously, they know exactly what they want to do with each and every pitcher, whether it's the starter or the relievers. But as spring training rolls around, they're going to have to deviate because some guys may have some soreness. Some guys may need a day or two to recover from a start. So you're always kind of maneuvering your script, so to speak, but it's always a good thing or a great thing to have a plan in place. You need to have a plan in place now. For a guy like a Shohei Ohtani, they're going to make sure they have their script to make sure that he's where he needs to be, whether it's early May, late May, when he gets back on the mound in the big leagues.
Every player and pitcher have told me since Andrew Friedman took over, they let me be myself. And that means that you don't treat every pitcher on the same plan because they're all at different points in their body and in their preparation. You think back to some of the guys that were on the team last year. They pitched longer and deeper into a season because of the World Series than they ever had before. So to me, that's kind of the slow ramp up, especially now where you have to turn around and start quicker than anybody else.
Well, and many of the players arrived in Arizona in the days right after Dodger Fest. In fact, the full squad doesn't have to report until this Saturday, but as we've seen, a lot of them, DV, whether it's Mookie and Freddie, Muncy, and there are many others as well, they're already in Arizona getting their work in.
Yeah, why not? It's raining here in LA. Might as well get to Arizona and get some reliable weather out there. And look, things have changed. Guys like Conforto and Kike Hernandez, to name a few, live there during the offseason, so that is home for them.
Yeah, another thing, too, is a lot of these guys that were there early here in camp would work out at Dodger Stadium. They would be home in L.A. I know Mookie Betts lives here in the L.A. area. He would be at Dodger Stadium, but because Dodger Stadium is still being worked on, they got to Arizona early to make sure they got their work in. But again, I don't care if you're a young player or a veteran player, you know really what you need to get ready for a season. Certainly guys like Mookie Betts, Kike, and the rest of the guys.
And plus, knowing that games begin a week from today, a lot of these guys have wanted to get to Arizona early to get their work going. Usually a non-roster invitee doesn't have great odds to make a roster, especially as stacked as this Dodgers roster is, Jerry. But you have Roki Sasaki this year. Obviously, that's a unique situation. For most of the non-roster invitees in camp, what is really their objective this spring?
Make an impression. Make an impression, learn, and you never know what's down the line because if you make that impression in spring training, whether you're a pitcher or a position player, they will remember you. So if something happens with the big league club, they'll say, hey, what happened to that kid that we had in spring training who went off offensively or who came in and really dealt on the mound? How's he doing in AA or AAA? He's having a good season. You know what? Let's call him up. Spring training is more important for the young players because the veteran players know what they need, whether it's at bats or pitches to get ready for a long season. It's these young guys making sure they make and leave an impression.
And when you talk about non-roster invitees, it's not just the young guys that are getting their first experience at big league camp. There's some veterans that make the team in that situation. I think back to Jamie Wright, who's now one of the coaches. That's how he got on the Dodgers and was a big leader for them in the bullpen. And I'm looking at 65 there, Giovanni Gallegos, who's an established veteran. When you look at the Dodger bullpen and injuries to Evan Phillips and Michael Kopech, all of a sudden now, there's 2 spots open, and I'm looking at Gallegos, and I'm looking at Michael Grove to make an impression to win those 2 jobs, 2 spots.
Wasn't Justin Turner a non-roster?
That's right.
Certainly was.
There we go, Jay Hare.
Back in the day. All right, so our final camp note really is away from baseball. So, Davey, I'm going to begin with you. What's your favorite thing about spring training that doesn't involve baseball?
Wow, the deep dish pizza, or just pizza in general in Phoenix, a very underrated city for pizza, number of spots there. And of course, I get to see my guy, the Prince of the Desert, Andre Ethier.
The Prince of the Desert.
Really?
Now.
For me, I get a chance, especially when I was a player late in my career. I lived in Arizona, so I got a chance to sleep in my own bed. Spring training in Arizona is way better than Florida, because in Florida, it seemed like you had to travel sometimes 8-10 hours for a game. In Arizona, sometimes 20 minutes. Sometimes 30 to go play a big league game.
DV, he's a Chicago guy. We like deep dish pizza. So what's the spot? I mean, if you're going to tell us, because we're heading out tonight.
Well, it would have to go to Giordano's out there.
Okay, that's Chicago spot.
Lou Malnati's is really good.
That's a good spot.
Both are great.
All right, still ahead. The reviews are in. Dave Roberts with rave reviews on his new shortstop. We'll discuss Mookie and how the move is different this time around. Plus, Freddie's been Mr. Everything during his Hall of Fame career, closing in on a unique milestone for first baseman. More season storylines coming up on Access.
Mookie being the shortstop sort of was a longer-term conversation, obviously dating back to a calendar year ago where he kind of found his way, a little bit less than that, at shortstop. He certainly felt he had unfinished business, and he popped out to right field because it was the right decision at that time, given our roster. But I do feel that, I know that he wanted to really give himself the best chance to be a top performer at short.
What's going to let you know, like, when you're watching him out there, that his comfort level is rising and that he's cleaned up some of the things he did struggle with, you know, early last year when he was making the switch?
It's 2 grades better already. Action-wise, confidence-wise, there's some uncertainty, rightfully so, last year, where just the confidence is extremely high right now. And also, I think Mookie wants to be the best player in baseball, and I don't see why he wouldn't want that. And so I think if you play shortstop with his bat, that gives him a better chance.
Well, it's certainly one of the bigger, maybe one of the most unique stories entering this season. You have a 6-time Gold Glove right fielder making a move for the 2nd straight season to a new position. Jerry, Mookie says he wants to win a Gold Glove as a shortstop, and after what we just heard from Doc, I wouldn't put any of that past Mookie doing it.
Listen, you know, Mookie Betts has a unique characteristic. Obviously, he's one of the best athletes in all of sports, but he has the determination. He wants to be that dude. He works so, I think he works too hard. He works too hard, tirelessly on his craft. Last year, he had 10 days to work on being a big league shortstop. I thought he played pretty well. Being the fact that he came into camp saying, you know, I'm going to play second base, having moved from right. Now you're thrusted to be an everyday shortstop at the big league level, not for a team that's not watched very often. It's for the LA Dodgers. So, listen, he's had a whole offseason to work on his craft. I saw him for a couple days. I was amazed how clean he looked at short, being able to throw from all different arm angles, but more importantly, the confidence that he has in himself. In order to do anything in life, you got to have confidence. And sometimes, even the best, like a Mookie Betts doing something new, the confidence may not be there right now. But sure, his confidence is there now, and he's ready to roll.
You're right. It's hard to believe, but Mookie Betts sometimes does doubt himself because he is such a humble guy. It sometimes works against him. I remember J.D. Martinez telling me multiple times during 2 seasons ago how he would have to reinforce to Mookie just how good he is. You don't need to tinker all that much. And maybe that tinkering, trying to be the best shortstop last year, worked against him in real time. And don't forget, not only when he came back after missing 6 weeks did he, you know, change positions, but then also lost his spot as the leadoff hitter and was unselfish and said, okay, Ohtani, you can lead off and I'll hit second for the betterment of the team. And they took off after that.
And also the start of last season, Mookie Betts was so great offensively, and that's back when he was playing shortstop. So hopefully we can see more of that here in 2025. We heard Doc say that Mookie Betts does want to be the best player in baseball. The Dodgers have a couple guys really who could make a claim for that, and they went back-to-back in walk-off fashion against the Rockies last September 22nd. DV, you get to start us off as we go to the K-Zone for these back-to-back homers.
Well, I can't break it down like Jay here, but I could tell you this. There were a lot of doubters. Thank you, Jay Hare. I could tell you there were a lot of doubters and critics that said Ohtani wasn't clutch. This was the beginning of him silencing those critics, where he was patient and also waited for the pitcher to come into his zone. And you saw what happened right there. Tied the game in the bottom of the 9th inning. Never saw that type of emotion from him down the 5 freeway. But all of a sudden now he was a clutch player.
And you have Mookie Betts right behind him. He gets down in the count really quick, 0-2, 100 miles an hour. You know, I'm going to challenge him one more time. 101 in on his hands. He gets the barrel to it. Great swing, and Mookie, I say it all the time. Hopefully I say it over 30 times this year. Can't you see? Yes, that swing always hypnotizes me. We talk about clutch. When you have the big show, tying the ball game, and then Mookie right behind him, walking him off, that is a great 1-2 punch.
That certainly was a very fun day. A lot of fun days in the 2024 season. Coming up, the Dodgers playing to a sold-out crowd is going to be a bit different in Tampa. 11,000 seats available for Rays games this year. We'll discuss the majors playing in a minor league stadium. Plus, it's milestone watch. Clayton Kershaw on the doorstep of 3,000 strikeouts. The storylines to watch in 2025 ahead on Access. Cactus League play gets underway 1 week from today, the first of 20 games in Arizona. Next Thursday, Dodgers hosting the Chicago Cubs at noon. As usual, every single Cactus League game can be seen right here on Sportsnet LA. And then join us for post-game highlights and reaction on Access. Always fun to see the regulars get an at-bat, maybe 2. Then the prospects get their chance to shine at camp. It's Cactus League play getting underway next Thursday. Let's look ahead to the games that do count, though, the regular season and some of the big storylines that impact the Dodgers. For the second straight year, Dodgers opening the season overseas in Asia after South Korea last year, DV. The champs are going to Japan, and this is going to be like Beatlemania when you get over there to Tokyo.
Or maybe traveling with a Swiftie crew, right? Maybe Ohtani's now the Swiftie. It's going to be amazing. Right there's the airport that we walked through in South Korea. I know there's already discussions about how to handle the crowd and the media as soon as they touch down. But I can tell you the vibe around the team is way more excitable than it was a year ago at this time, just because you want to see what it's like to be with Ohtani at the Tokyo Dome.
I cannot wait to see it, because the Dodgers, the world champion Dodgers, they're having a few guys, their heroes, coming back. Shohei Ohtani, obviously Yamamoto, Sasaki as well. And I'm anxious to see the reaction when they see the big show. May it be Michael Jackson-esque. Remember Michael Jackson back in the 80s and 90s, boy? He had people fainting when he performed or just stood there.
So did the Beatles back in the day.
Yeah, so don't ever compare Swift to the Beatles as well. So
yeah.
I'm trying to bring it into modern times.
Anxious
I'm with
to
two
see
boomers here.
fans react to the big show.
All right, well, speaking of the big show, playing in Tokyo, it's going to be obviously a huge deal when he gets there, but he's not going to be on the mound for that trip. Jerry, another storyline, though, when he does return to the mound as a Dodger for the first time, likely in the month of May, that's going to be special as well.
It's going to be special. He was so impactful last season, obviously 50-50 MVP at the plate. Sometimes we forget that, guess what? He is an ace, elite pitcher on the hill, runs that fastball anywhere from 96 to 100 miles an hour. He's got great off-speed pitches as well. So I'm anxious to see him take the mound in Dodger blue, not just in May, not just in August, but in the playoffs. Hopefully the World Series as well.
That first game that he starts at Dodger Stadium, it's not going to be just another game. It's going to be an event.
Yeah.
That's going to be the hottest regular season ticket out there, including the Ice Cube bobblehead night. That will top
That's going to be a tough one to top right there, the Ice Cube bobblehead. Hard to check the secondary prices for that game. Meanwhile, we don't know exactly when Clayton Kershaw is going to make his 2025 debut, but when he does, he's going to need just 32 strikeouts to reach 3,000 for his career. DV, only 3 other left-handed pitchers in the history of the game have reached 3,000 Ks.
I don't want to be that guy that one-ups you, John, with some fun facts, but...
Go for it.
Okay. When Kershaw does reach that 3,000 strikeout plateau, he'll become just the 5th pitcher in baseball history to have 3,000 strikeouts with one team.
ドジャースの春季キャンプが始まりましたね。大谷翔平選手と山本由伸選手や佐々木朗希選手を迎え、まるでビートルズのような熱狂が東京で起きそうです。特に気になるのは5月に予定されている大谷選手の投手復帰。ドジャースブルーのユニフォーム姿で投げる姿が本当に楽しみですね。一方、ベテランのカーショー投手も通算3000奪三振まであと32個。左投手でこの記録を達成したのは歴史上わずか3人だけなんです。今シーズンも見どころが満載で、早くレギュラーシーズンが始まってほしいという気持ちでいっぱいです。皆さんは今シーズンのドジャースの活躍をどのように予想されているでしょうか。では、また次回の動画でお会いしましょう。ご視聴ありがとうございました。